Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video here. So I want to break down the episode 5 trailer. There's a lot to talk about here. And yeah, if you do want to get my episode 4 review, I already posted that on the channel. Next, I will be posting some videos breaking down some of the scenes, especially the Rick and Michonne scene at the very end of episode 4, because I think that was really, honestly, one of the best scenes that we have really ever seen on The Walking Dead. It's definitely in the top 5 of like one of the best scenes ever. So I want to talk about that. And yeah, there's a lot more to break down with this episode. And there's a lot going into episode 5 here, which I will say, you know, it could really be Jadis's final episode ever. Like, she could still be in the finale, maybe, but I really feel like we are getting to like the final, you know, moments with Jadis here. So I want to talk about that and talk about what this episode could be here, because this episode honestly seems really incredible. Just based off of the trailer, it's almost like a part 2 to you know, the Rick and Michonne episode we just got in episode 4, because that one there was really like a downtime episode, right, where you just, you know, you sort of took a break and you just focused on those characters. Episode 5 seems like it's sort of the same thing almost, but not really, because you are going to have Jadis there. There's going to be a lot more drama there, but it's not like set at the CRM, though I feel like maybe at the end of this episode, we could be back at the CRM, right? So there's a lot to talk about here. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this, but let's jump into the trailer here. So at the end of episode 4, we do see Rick and Michonne decide to go back to Alexandria, and that is sort of where things left off, right? They're in a really good place now. You know, they both worked some stuff out. They're feeling much better, and now they're on their way home to their kids. You know, they're going back to Alexandria, and you know, it should feel amazing. Obviously, I think we all know that stuff's probably going to happen that prevents that, because I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think if this didn't happen yet, if they were starting to like get back to the point where they were, you know, considering going to Alexandria or about to go, like if that happened in the finale or at the end of episode 5, where it seemed like, okay, they're about to actually go back to Alexandria, I might believe it a little bit more, because maybe this was just going to be 6 episodes, right? But because it's happening right now, I'm just like, okay, this seems too perfect for them, right? And Gimple even talks about that in the episode Insider. He says, like, you know, maybe things should just sort of end right here, where they're very happy and they're just going back home. But it's The Walking Dead and things like that don't happen, right? And you kind of see it in episode 5 here. They don't really show it a lot, because I mean, if you've seen the general trailer for The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, then you know what is likely going to be happening here, and that is that Jadis is going to show up. She'll actually find them. And I like the fact the trailer doesn't really give that away. Like, if you've watched the trailer, you know what's about to happen, right? Like, we all know that. But generally, like, if you're just watching this on cable, or if you're watching it, whatever, and you don't watch a lot of videos on this type of stuff, then you're probably honestly watching this thinking that they're going back home. Like, okay, I guess they all think they're gone now, so they're just going to go back home. And then obviously Jadis is going to show up, and it's going to be probably a pretty big surprise here in this episode. And we do see this one shot here of Rick and Michonne finding this place here that I don't know if it's a museum or what it is, but it's a very interesting place. It looks like it's going to happen pretty early on in the episode. I imagine they're just going to drive to this place here. We see some shots of Rick and Michonne. You know, they're just very, very happy. This one shot here, it's a nighttime shot. So the previous one where you do see Rick and Michonne find this place is during the day. So this one here is set at night. So I imagine they're going to be spending the night in this place, and it's probably going to take place over a couple of days. We do see someone here that is sort of, I don't know if they're pretending to be a walker or whatnot. I will say I got Whisperer vibes watching this scene, though. It kind of felt like this was, I don't know, I guess not Alpha. I guess more like Beta, right? Because Beta actually had a jacket like that. But yeah, this seemed like something out of season 9 or 10, to be honest. Like, it kind of felt like we were watching a Whisperer scene. But I do think this is probably Jadis. I mean, I know that they're probably going to come across other people. There's probably going to be other problems that they deal with here. But I know Jadis is going to be for sure in this episode here. So I think that this could be Jadis, you know, just sort of looking around, trying to find out any sort of clues that Rick and Michonne are alive, because I know that she's not going to believe that they just died in that helicopter, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, it's just too convenient that Rick was trying to leave. Then as soon as Michonne shows up, you know, all of a sudden they both somehow die out of nowhere. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I think Jadis is probably like, you know what, you guys were planning something, this and that, and I know you guys are out there. So I think she was looking around. I mean, she probably followed them to this place, right? Like, she probably, I don't know how she found them. I think that'll probably be a reveal in this episode, but she's definitely going to find them here, right? We do see a scene here where we see Michonne and Rick. they basically like they count to 3 or whatever, and then they kick the doors open because it looks like they run into a bunch of walkers here. And at this point, I think they're going to leave that place that they were in, because we have a shot here where we see Rick and Michonne, they're about to kill a walker. But if you notice Rick's outfit, it's not the same sweater that he was wearing at the end of episode 4. It's a different sweater, and when they first arrived to that place, Rick is wearing that same sweater in episode 4, like at the very end there. So obviously at some point change his outfit or whatever. And yeah, I don't know if this is just like a run that they're doing or if they're trying to get away from Jadis. I know that's going to happen though. We actually do see some shots of that car chase actually happening. We see someone chasing down Rick and Michonne, and it is Jadis. So that is going to be happening at some point here where Jadis does chase them down, and then we get some scenes here of it looks like they're back in that place, and then we see Rick and Michonne sort of, yeah, obviously they're prepared because I mean Jadis could be around here, and we know from previous shots in the trailers and stuff that like Jadis is, you know, she's there, so like she's gonna be in these scenes here, right? But Michonne says something very interesting at the very end where she's like, you know, she says something like, we have to go back, basically. Like, you know, we can't, or this isn't going to end with us going back home or something like that. And I wonder if she's starting to realize what Rick was always trying to say with everything, right? Because episode 4, we spent the whole time basically trying to understand who Rick was and this and that. And, you know, finally he's just like, yeah, you know what, we'll go back home and whatever. But I wonder if Michonne is starting to realize now, like, you know what, I kind of get what you were saying, and I don't think we can just go back home yet. You know, I do think she's probably going to realize the CRM, they definitely are a threat because she hasn't really dealt with it, right? And that's the one thing about all of this here is like we can all understand where Rick is coming from, obviously, and we get why Michonne, you know, wants him to just be like, yeah, let's go back home. But like Rick, you know, went through these things for a reason, and the CRM are definitely, they are a threat for sure. So I think she's going to see a lot of this, and I think it's probably going to be because of Jadis. That's why they're probably going to decide that they can't go back home yet, you know. So I don't know what's going to happen here if Jadis is going to die. You know, that's one of those things that I think this episode is definitely, you know, I'm going to do a video talking about that later this week, you know, Jadis's death, because I feel like it could actually happen in this episode. We could see Jadis die in this episode. I think it would be really insane, but I think it's actually very possible because this could be a really big Jadis episode where she confronts both of them. There could be a lot of stuff that happens in terms of dialogue and all of that really, like, it could be honestly one of the best Jadis episodes of all time kind of thing, right? It is probably going to happen. I do think Jadis is, I mean, I think like, is she going to die this season? Yes, I think she's going to die for sure. So that means, I mean, there's 2 episodes left, so she's going to die either in episode 5 or in episode 6. So I think there's a good chance that she could die here at the very, very end. And so when you see these final scenes here of Michonne and Rick, and Michonne is saying this to Rick, I wonder if Michonne is saying this because they just literally killed Jadis, and now they're like, well, you know, she has evidence of where we're from, this and that, so we have to go back, right? So I wonder if that's where they're going. And again, there's going to be a whole thing here. Like, how do they just like go back and like the story they're going to have to tell with everything? I mean, I feel like there's a way that they could set it up though, where again, they killed Jadis, but they go back and they basically tell the CRM that all of this here happened because of Jadis. Like, Jadis caused this, and this led us to be here and doing this and that. And I feel like that could be something that they could tell Pearl Thorne and Major General Beale, and then Rick and them could just be like, but we came back, we're here, we're going to be a part of the CRM. You know, we have to deal with this and whatever, but it's because of Jadis. She was causing all of this. Pearl Thorne could be like, yeah, you know what, I can see all of that and whatever. And then maybe Beale actually is like, you know what, I do believe that. Maybe for the time being anyways. And so maybe that's why, I mean, I guess I won't get into that, but yeah, I'll just say I feel pretty confident that I do think Rick is going to for sure be back at the CRM in the finale. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And then we'll see where they go there. But I think that's how they're going to set up a season 2 there, right? So I think that Jadis's death, yeah, for sure, it could happen here in episode 5. I think it would be insane to happen, but I think that it could definitely happen because she's kind of the villain here of the story. And I'm looking at these 6 episodes here, and I'm like, how do you tell a complete story here? You can't really have them go back home yet because there's still so much with the CRM. There's so much with all of that it doesn't make a lot of sense to just do it yet, right? But Jadis is sort of the villain here of everything. I think if you kill her off, then, you know, she's the villain of this arc here, right? Like, she's sort of, it's not Major General Beale he'll be a big part of season 2 or 3 or whatever. I mean, probably a season 2, right? But, you know, for this season, it was Jadis. And I think that they could do that. I think they could honestly tell a really amazing story here with Jadis in episode 5. Again, the trailer doesn't show everything, right? Like this trailer doesn't even show Jadis. I mean, there's a scene of the car chase, but it's so fast that like if you're just watching a trailer normally, you're not going to catch it. So yeah, it looks like this episode here is honestly going to be really incredible. I think that just visually, the episode looks really incredible. Like I really like the fact that, I mean, it looks like at one point they're fighting like stone walkers or something. So there's going to be like new types of walkers that they're going to be fighting in this episode, which I like when they do that, you know, whenever they have like those like just other moments where, because there's the story and there's all these things going on, but you got to remember, like at its core, The Walking Dead is a zombie apocalypse show, right? So you'll get a scene like this where they're just fighting walkers, and it's like just a really cool action scene, and it's cool. Like you just, again, it's hard to feel like that sometimes where it's the story is so much about Rick and Michonne and the CRM that like walkers aren't a part of it really. You know, it's hard to really remember that it's a zombie apocalypse. But when you get scenes like this when they're trying to survive and it's like set in this setting, then you're just like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like this is that show, right? There's a reason why it's called The Walking Dead overall. So episode 5, I'm really looking forward to. I think that this episode could be, I don't know if, that's the thing, like episode 4 was such a good episode that I'm like, will episode 5 and 6 be better? You know what I mean? I think that obviously it has a chance to be better and whatnot. Episode 4 was good because it was like, you know, a really emotional moment between Rick and Michonne, right? We finally got all that stuff told and Rick learned of all this information and whatever. So it was really cool to get all that. But like in terms of action and drama and like these really big moments, they could obviously make other episodes better and whatnot. So episode 5 could be better. Episode 6, we'll see where they go here. But, you know, I think that they could really, really build up to something really amazing here. And so far in terms of what they've talked about with this show, it does really seem like, you know, this show is really about Rick and Michonne for sure. Like it is just about them and the CRM, they're a part of it there, but you know, they really focused like with these 6 episodes here, they really focused on bringing these characters together again and just like, you know, getting into all of that. And they did it really well. And I think, you know, 4 episodes in, I feel like now they're back and we're just set in the story now. And now they're dealing with the CRM and everything. And honestly, I look at these 4 episodes and I just think that like the first 2, they caught us up with Rick and Michonne. Episode 3, you know, got into some stuff with the CRM. We learned a lot more. They set up the story really well overall. Episode 4, you know, really told everything with Rick and Michonne. We caught up with them. And now I feel like they're back. In episode 5, you know, they're going to be dealing with some stuff with Jadis. And I think they're really setting up Rick and Michonne fighting back and trying to change the CRM. I think that's probably where they're going in the finale. I do think once they get to the finale, it's going to be very much like, we are going to change the CRM from within. Like we are going to do this because this is going to actually make a big difference here. And again, that line at the very end of the episode 5 trailer where Michonne basically says like, we can't really go back or whatever. And, or this is not going to end with us going back home or whatever, right? Like, I think that, yeah, I think Michonne's going to realize too that we do need to make a big change here. And I think that we could, right? And I think that that's going to be a really big moment of inspiration here in the finale coming up. So, I mean, the finale is 2 episodes away, so we'll have to wait and see. We have to watch episode 5 first. But episode 5 looks really, really great. I can't wait to see Jadis come back. Honestly, I can't wait to see like Michonne versus Jadis. Because like Rick versus Jadis, we've seen a lot of that. But like Michonne versus Jadis, Michonne talking with her, I think would be really cool because obviously there's going to be some arguing and fighting there. Michonne's probably going to be like, you took him away, you did this and that. And I want to see what a lot of that's going to be like because I don't remember the last time Michonne and Jadis actually talked. I don't think it happened at all in season 9. I mean, have they ever talked? Have they ever had a scene together? I'm sure they did in season 7 or 8, right? Like it had to have happened. Anyways, post all your thoughts down below. Post all your predictions for episode 5. Do you think Jadis is going to die in episode 5? Again, I do think, you know, looking at both episodes coming up here, I think it's probably going to happen in 5. I think she'll probably die in 5, and then it's going to lead to something where Rick and Michonne have to go back to the CRM. And then I think the finale will just be something else entirely, but I think that's probably where they're going. I don't think Jadis is going to be a death in the finale, but maybe it does happen like that. Maybe Jadis does survive and she actually takes them to the CRM because there are shots later on where we do see the CRM soldiers at the gates or whatever. So I feel like Rick and Michonne are going to be getting brought back, and then we'll see them at the CRM gates here. And yeah, I mean, what happens at this point, right? It's gonna be really interesting. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video here, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.